Welcome back to the Scotti-BYTE channel, and this is Scott. So today I want to talk about LXD Remote Management. So any Linux server or desktop can run LXD containers. I use my LXD dashboard as the GUI interface for all of my LXD container hosts. But another powerful interface is to use your desktop LXD interface to manage your remote LXD host or remote LXD servers. Let's go see how to manage LXD servers remotely using the CLI. So far on the channel, when we've been using the CLI, we've been doing so from a local system. Point in fact is we've done a LXC list command, and here you can see that I have two LXD VMs that are on my local machine. But did you know that I can also say LXC list on VMS rain : and it will go out and list all of the containers on VMS rain. I can even do a LXC launch Ubuntu 22.04 space VMS rain, which is the remote LXD host test, and it will create the container test, but instead of creating it on my local machine, it creates it on my remote machine. And to prove that, if I do a LXC list, you'll see that there is no container here called test. I can also say LXC exec VMS rain : test and enter the BOSH shell of the container running at the remote node, and there I am at the container prompt. Likewise, I can exit this container and do a LXC stop on VMS rain : test, and it will stop the container on the remote node, and I can say LXC delete on VMS rain : test. So this capability does not exist by default, and in fact, if I do a LXC list on VMS mist : it's not going to list the containers on VMS mist because it says that that system does not exist. So in order to enable remote management, we use a command LXC remote add. In this case, I'm going to put in here VMS mist, and its address is 172.16.1.50. When I hit enter, it asks to accept the fingerprint. I say yes, and it's going to ask me for the admin password of that remote server, and so I'm going to type that in. And then it says client certificate is now trusted by server VMS mist. So now if we do a LXC list on VMS mist : it will go to that remote server and list the containers out, and now I'll be able to issue other commands remotely. If you've watched my channel before and you've watched the video about creating a LXD VM for Windows 11, this LXD VM for Windows 11 is running on VMS rain, and I can use the command LXC console VMS rain : win11 space -- type space VGA, and that will go ahead and launch the Windows 11 remote viewer, or actually not the Windows 11 remote viewer, but the virtual machine viewer from Linux. And once it does that, I can go ahead and say go full screen. I can type in my Windows password, and there we are. We have a LXD virtual machine that is being displayed here back on my local desktop. Consequently, if I log off of this Windows 11 LXD virtual machine. It will go back to the login prompt. If I bump against the top of the screen, I can leave full screen and I can exit out of that. We get a couple of errors because I basically closed the connection when the connection was previously opened. Another example of a very powerful command is from my local desktop. I do a LXC launch images :Ubuntu /2204/desktop space VMS rain :Ubuntu -VM a space and --VM, which designates that this machine it's going to create on VMS rain called Ubuntu -VM is in fact a virtual machine. I say give it 4096 megabytes or 4 gigabytes of memory and 2 virtual CPUs, set boot.autostart equals to true, and when you create that machine, go ahead and bring up the VGA console. So we hit enter and it's retrieving the image. It's building the root file system. And here it's booting up the system remotely. And again, we can do a view on the full screen and do a next and a next and a next and a done. And here we have an Ubuntu desktop, which is actually a LXD VM, but a LXD VM that has been established and running on the remote node. And here we are on LXD dashboard on VMS Rain, which is the remote node that we created the Ubuntu virtual machine instance on. We're in the virtual machines section as opposed to the containers section. You can see over here I have a Home Assistant running, and I have my Windows 11 that we connected to, and now I also have the Ubuntu VM. And by the way, if you're interested, the reason that the Windows 11 does not show up with either an IPv4 or an IPv6 address is because the component to report the address back outside of the container is only a part of Linux containers and not a part of Windows. So in summary, the LXD CLI has a lot of hidden power and functionality. In this tutorial, we saw how to enable remote management for other LXD servers. And this technique is useful for managing containers and also for managing LXD virtual machines. Anyway, that's it for today. Please subscribe and like to the channel, and don't forget to hit that notification bell, and we'll see you next time.